What's happening, guys? I'm back, peeps. The internet outage. Yeah, that shit couldn't run anymore. Big up to everyone locked in on this wonderful Saturday. I was about to say morning. It's not even morning, but it does feel like morning here in the UK. But big up to everybody locked in on this Saturday afternoon. We've got a little bit to talk about. Of course, it's pre-season day. Well, technically it is. Technically it isn't. Manchester United kick off at 1 a.m. UK time later on today. Let me know what time that is for you guys, and if you will be watching Manchester United versus Arsenal in this. What is this? The third preseason game, but it's the first of the US tour out in LA. Big up to everyone that's locked in. Listen, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We've got a little bit to talk about today when it comes to fullbacks, because the last time we spoke about Mazraoui going to West Ham and Bayern Munich agreeing on a fee, and it seems like that ain't the case anymore, and Manchester United are in talks with Rafaela. I can't even remember what her surname was. Pimenta? Something like that. The agent of both Mazraoui and Ligt, by the way, and one of the biggest agents in the footballing world, in talks with her to get a deal done for maybe both of them. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about PSG still being interested in Jadon Sancho. They want him, but they don't know about the price tag. I think Jadon Sancho goes to PSG if they miss out on Desire Doué. That's what I think will happen. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about preseason. We're going to talk about Erik ten Hag's pre-game comments about Mason Mount. Shout out to Flex for asking the comments about Mason Mount, answering a question. So we're going to speak about that and about his thoughts on Mason Mount. And we're just going to talk about general other transfer news. Big up to everyone locked in. Listen, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. I couldn't do a stream yesterday, as I mentioned, on the community tab because there was an internet outage for the whole day. Pretty much, I wouldn't say just in my area. I think it was anybody that was with that internet provider seemed to have had that problem. So I couldn't stream. If I wanted to stream, I would have had to hotspot from my phone, and that's not possible, guys. That's not possible. So I thought, you know what, I might as well use it as a day off. I had to change the day for the member only live stream, so it will probably be tomorrow instead. But turn on your post notifications, so obviously when the stream goes live, you lot will find out about it, obviously, if you're a member. And if you want to be a member and you want to join the Minions gang, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can, simply by hitting the like button or sending in a super chat with your comments, with your thoughts, with any questions that you may or may not have. You can do that. You can do that. But listen, we're going to get straight into it. We got a little bit to talk about with Manchester United, but I thought it might be a good idea for us to start with pre-season talk. I thought it would be a good idea to start with pre-season talk. And the reason why I'm saying that is because obviously Manchester United are in America right now doing pre-season. I think they're in LA, of course. Look at Casemiro, guys. Casemiro looks he looks much better shaped. I shouldn't say shaped, but he looks in good shape compared to how he reported to pre-season last year. I don't know if you guys remember how he reported to pre-season last summer, but he looked a bit, I'm not going to say overweight, but he did look a bit out of shape. But this summer, I don't know, maybe the long duration of time off has done him well. Maybe it's done him well. Obviously, he's had time off since the end of May, I think it is. He didn't go to Copa America with Brazil. So he's had an extended break between May and July. And he looks in very good shape. I was very impressed, I'm not going to lie, because last summer, you know, if we're quick to be critical about it, I think we should be quick to praise it as well. He looks in good shape, guys. I need to find a picture of pre-season last year so that we can do a side-by-side comparison, because I'm sure, I don't know if all of you lot remember, but he reported for pre-season last summer just looking a bit chunky. He was looking a bit chunky last season. Is this it? No, this ain't it. I don't know if we're gonna find any. All right, this might, here's a photo. Here's a photo from pre-season. Here's a photo from pre-season last year. This is pre-season last year, guys. This is pre-season last summer compared to pre-season this summer. He looks like a different guy. Bro, he looks like a different guy. Kudos to him for whatever he's been doing in the summer. Respect to him. Because clearly he looks like a man on with a plan. And obviously, I think maybe the links of potentially leaving Manchester United, maybe that had something to do with it. Did you Google Chunky Casemiro? That I actually wrote in a long ass description. I wrote Man United 2023 summer preseason Casemiro. I wrote in something so long, but I was really impressed. I saw this photo and I thought, let me share it with you guys. Cass is like an old car; it starts but never runs. Damn, man's looking chiseled. He is looking chiseled. Guys, look at him. Now, I'm not saying there's a direct correlation between how you look and how you play, but compared to how he reported last season and just how he looked, his mobility on the pitch last season, I'm sure that there was a correlating factor to the fact that he reported pre-season looking like he was out of shape. Now, he's looking a bit different. He's looking a bit different. Now, obviously, in this picture, there's a few academy players, as well as Hannibal, Christian Eriksen, Jadon. Is this the sellable team? Maybe they put all the players that they're going to sell in one team at preseason. Because there's no coincidence that it's Jadon Sancho, Hannibal Mejbri, Christian Eriksen of the most experienced players, and Casemiro in one team. That Monaco midfielder you were talking about, Kamara, he's moving to Al Sadd. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Why is he doing that? I got connections in Qatar, so if that's legit. Oh my god, he is. Oh my god. He actually is. Oh my god, guys, I actually know. Hold on. Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished. I actually, if this is Al Sadd in Qatar, I know the head of marketing for them. I actually know the head of marketing for them. Let me see if it's actually Al Sadd that this person is the head of marketing for. Is it Al Sadd? I think this is Al Sadd that they are. Yeah, they are. I think this is. Oh no, it's not Al Sadd. Oh, my bad. The person I know in Qatar, they work for Al Arabiya. They work for a different team. What a shame. I actually thought for a second. Well, good on him. Man said, give me the money. I hear it. You know what? Yeah, guys, you know what? Here's the picture, by the way. Let me just pull it up. This is him, Mohamed Kamara, yeah? I hear it because the life of football span is very, very short. The footballing life is a very, very short life. You got to get the money where you can. I remember speaking when I interviewed Papi Cisse, and I asked him about why he left Newcastle to just go to China. When he was like he wasn't at the top of English football, but he was very like well sought after. I mean, Demba Ba ended up going to Chelsea. I asked him, why did you go to China? And he goes, listen, I'm from Africa. Football life is not a long life. You got to make the money where you can. And I was like, I understand that. And then we were talking about how people now, like, we're comparing it to like Saudi Arabia, people going to Saudi or the MLS, etc. He said to me, if I was playing football now, he said, I would make it my sole goal to go to Saudi Arabia because of the money that you make. Obviously, when you come from a poor background, you know, you probably finance a lot of people in your family, a lot of people in your village, etc., etc. So I kind of understand why people do that as a person. And, you know, as someone that comes from an ethnic background, I understand in it. Money have to make, as my Jamaicans say. But listen, let's get into it. Erik ten Hag was speaking to media yesterday ahead of today's pre-season game between Manchester United and Arsenal. He had quite a few stuff to say. He spoke about Anthony. He spoke about Marcus Rashford. He spoke about Mason Mount. He spoke about bringing in new players. Shout out to everyone that asked questions. If you haven't seen it, Flex asked him a question as well on Mason Mount, which is funny because Fabrizio actually went and posted the full quote of what Erik ten Hag said about Mason Mount, but did not give any credit to where the comment came from or who the question came from. Normally, and this is not me getting onto Fabrizio, but like normally when someone answers a question in a press conference, like I've done it before where if I'm posting the reply from the manager online, I'll always say this person asked this question because you just got to give a little credit, but Fabrizio didn't do it. Anyways, it is what it is. Erik ten Hag had quite a bit to talk about when it came to preseason. Obviously, he also seemed like in a very good mood. I know it's hot in America. You know, it's nice weather, nice vibes. He seemed like he was in a good mood. Isn't it tomorrow? No, apparently it's today, but like after midnight today. Let me double check. Versus Arsenal. Because I keep seeing mixed reviews. I keep seeing mixed reviews about what time it is. All this time I thought it was today. All this time I really thought it was today. Yeah, so it's 1 a.m. today, but like next day. After midnight, obviously it's the next day. But for me, the day ends when you go to sleep. Like if I'm still awake, the day is still the same day. Like if it's 1 a.m. and I haven't gone to bed, technically it's still Saturday. So yeah, basically 1 a.m. Sunday, so in 11 hours, yeah. So it's 5:30 local time. It's for 6 p.m. sorry, kickoff local time. 1 a.m. UK time as well. And it's annoying because Manchester United should actually post this stuff for like their European followers so that we know what time to watch it. Shout out to everyone in America that finally get to watch Manchester United at normal hours. The only annoying thing is I feel sorry for people in America, obviously, because with Manchester United games during pre-season, you don't get to see the entire team, like, because people get taken off. So it's not really like a competitive game. Now, I'm sorry, guys. I keep getting sidetracked, yeah, because I keep talking about random shit since the stream started. But I've seen Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, talking about how football games, Premier League games, should be played in America. What do you guys think about that? Do you not actually think that would be a good idea? Now, for some context, yeah, the NFL plays 4 games here in the UK every year. The NBA play 1 game in Europe every year. It used to be 1 game in England, and then they changed it to like France and other European countries. But the NFL play 4 to 5 games here every year. And now Sadiq Khan is trying to get like WrestleMania. Apparently, he's trying to host WrestleMania here in London, get WWE here. And he said that football games should be held, like a couple Premier League games should be held in America every year. And I was like, yeah, nah. Because it's not like, now, this might sound stupid, right? But the NFL is an American sport, right? But it's the only like real competitive game of NFL. Does that make sense? Whereas football, every country has its own league. America got MLS. England has the Premier League. France has Ligue 1. La Liga is in Spain. Every country has its own league, whereas NFL is just one league that's watched across the whole world. Same with the NBA. Nobody, let's be real, no one really watches Eurobasket in Europe. I think people do watch Eurobasket. I don't think a lot of people watch the British Basketball League here in the UK. So I understand why the NFL and the NBA feel like they have to go to the other side of the world and try to promote their game. Football is a global sport. Every country has its own league. Why do you need to now go host the Champions League final in flipping somewhere in America? It makes no sense. Champions League final is literally the European Champions final. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Footballers already travel too much. I agree. See, look, our resident American disagrees with Sadiq Khan, so that's good enough for me. Ahmed says that's just stupid, and I'm not from the UK. No, I agree. I hear it. I totally hear it. It's about the money. It's the way. It's similar to the way like Saudi Arabia are like tapping into all the different sports and trying to bring all the sports to Saudi. They're doing it obviously for a different reason, whereas I don't know what reason Sadiq Khan thinks that's a good idea. But anyway, let's talk about Erik ten Hag's comments in the press conference. Like I said, he looked like he was in a good mood. Did you guys see this picture, by the way? I'm sorry, I keep getting sidetracked, but this is the last time. I promise, this is the last time I'm going to get sidetracked, yeah, because this picture, I saw this picture when I woke up this morning, and it made me feel like it made me feel like a proud niece. It really, really made me feel like a proud niece when I saw this picture. Let me zoom out. Did you not see this? Did you guys see? I actually felt like a proud niece when I saw this. And you lot thinking, you and KG are not even that different in age. KG's still uncle to me. He's still uncle to me. Look at Flex in the background, cheesing so hard. Look at Flex in the background, cheesing so hard. No, honestly, this picture made my day. I'm not even joking, guys. I saw this and I just had the fattest smile on my face, just because I know how much KG rode out for Erik ten Hag. And he's just having fun on tour. He's just having fun. I saw a video this morning as well of here it is. Let me actually show you guys. Let me show you guys. Yeah. Let me show you this video. Let me know if you lot can hear the audio. Someone's screaming at Dan Ashworth about signings, yeah? And of course it's KG. He's saying, what's the budget looking like, Dan? He's talking to Dan Ashworth, like him and Dan Ashworth are boys. I heard Steve Housen in it as well. Yeah, I heard him. Nah, this honestly, it just made me laugh when I saw this. It just made me laugh when I saw this. All the content from the tour is actually making me laugh. It's quite entertaining. It's quite entertaining. But listen, let's get into it. Let's not get sidetracked anymore. Let's get into it. Erik ten Hag speaking to media ahead of the game against Arsenal. That is very different. The head of club is on the training field with the team. They're all there, by the way. Dan Ashworth is there. Ahmed Barada is there. Sir Dave Brailsford is there. Who else is there? Jason Wilcox. All four of them are there. All four of them. That's not what Man United fans are used to. I'm used to Ed Woodward being somewhere in Cheshire while the Manchester United team are somewhere in Australia. And then Richard Arnold and Murto just running around in Barcelona trying to get a Frankie de Jong deal done, but they accidentally stopped in a coffee shop and got distracted. Have you been watching Saeed's vlogs? Yeah, I have. If you lot want to see funny stuff, behind the scenes from the UV tour, or just like the preseason tour, please follow Josh on Instagram. You lot will laugh. The shit that Josh posts on his Insta story is probably even funnier than the stuff that he posts on United View in the vlogs. Like, it is so funny. And I've been seeing a lot of BTS stuff as well on like Saeed's Instagram, Grizz, etc. It's been so funny. It's been so funny, honestly. How Saeed getting tackled by the ground and then blaming Toby. He ran straight into him and traveled at the same time, by the way. He literally traveled with the ball and then grabbed his knee. Now, honestly, yeah, the vlogs have been making me laugh. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to put all of them in the same city at the same time. I saw Cecil bumping into Jude Bellingham in LA. There's so much random stuff. But listen, let's not get sidetracked anymore. Let's talk about Erik ten Hag's pre-game comments. Let's start with what he said about Anthony. He spoke about Anthony and he spoke about Marcus Rashford, and he said, I think for every individual, everything is different. And that is true. I agree with that. And no one is the same. No one has the same background, but it's very clear that we want to win and we need good players like Anthony and Rashford. And both of them, he went on to say, is very good players. Now, obviously, he's talking about preseason. Like, for me, preseason is preseason, and it is like, I don't care too much about the result, but I do care about players getting fit, players getting match ready, you know, seeing maybe some form of patterns of play, maybe not so much when I see the academy players playing, but also preseason is a moment for academy players to get an opportunity in the team. So I kind of like preseason. I don't try to dwell on the result too much, but Erik ten Hag is different. He said, we want to win every single game and Arsenal will have the same approach against us. It's a good test for both clubs. I'm sure both are very eager to win. Now, this is where he was asked the question about Mason Mount by Flex, and he went on to speak about Mason Mount. He said, when he is fit, he will be a very good player for us and we can use him. He's versatile and you need that in a squad. You need certain types in the squad, like you need the leaders. You also need the team players. So he's kind of alluding to the idea that Mason Mount is a team player. He's a squad player. You need people like that to make up the depth of the team. He went on to say, you need individuals, multifunctional players, and yes, definitely he is one of those players. He can play in several positions, and I'm sure he will help the team. That's interesting to me. Now, if you guys don't know, I love a good piece and a good article on The Athletic. The Athletic did an inside kind of Manchester United's training. They spoke about Ruud van Nistelrooy's training sessions or individual drills that he's doing with the team, particularly focused on attacking, talking about Marcus Rashford in shape, Erik ten Hag's talks, etc. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Right now we're going to go through that and see exactly what was said in that piece, because by the way, guys, normally I read the piece in detail before I go live, but I've actually only skimmed through this. He went through so who's at preseason right now? All of Manchester United's coaching staff, including the new set piece coach that has been appointed. Now, I don't know what's happening, guys, but Man United are managing to convince managers to leave their job as a manager and join as a backroom staff at Manchester United. Like, what kind of, that's next levels. Now, and I know you lot are probably saying these are just normal managers, etc. But still, to leave a role as a manager to then go and be in the backroom staff of a club, is very, very interesting. But he's set to join them on the pre-season tour. And then, of course, you've got Ruud van Nistelrooy, you've got Rene Hack, you got the newly appointed goalkeeper coach, and then you've got Erik ten Hag on top of, all the senior executives at Manchester United that are also on the pre-season tour. Now, one thing that stood out in this piece is that Erik ten Hag was having intimate conversations about the players and with the Ineos regime. Now, according to The Athletic, previous managers would just stay back and just watch the training session from afar, whereas Erik ten Hag has allowed his coaching team to take control of, obviously, whatever their area of speciality is. And then he's just kind of doing the more detailed stuff. He's doing the more detailed approach of stuff. Now, Ruud van Nistelrooy, like I said, is a key part of this coaching staff. He's a key part of this coaching staff. Why? Because he is going to be the difference maker to Manchester United scoring goals this season. It's as simple as that. He's going to be the biggest difference maker. Now, I don't know if Ruud van Nistelrooy is the number 2 in charge or Rene Hack is the number 2 in charge. But according to The Athletic, both of them are pretty equal in their roles, in their responsibility, in the influence that they have. Hake is expected to pick up the responsibility Mitchell van der Gaag had in terms of setting up schedules, the mechanics of sessions, etc., etc. And obviously, if you don't know, they're training in UCLA, which is a huge facility. The facilities are huge. Now, they were going through training sessions or drills during the training session run by Rene Hack and Ruud van Nistelrooy in particular. And like I said, it was counter-attack. One particular one was described as a dynamic counter-attack setup with players encouraged to make runs out wide, get a cross in, and play at a fast pace. What were they asking for? They were asking for energy. That's it, energy. This is a team, by the way, where last season Manchester United looked depleted when it came to energy. They looked like 10, 15 minutes they could give you energy, and then that was it. Rashford, reportedly, in particular, and he's highlighted in this piece because he apparently looks like he's in top shape. He's fast. He's super sharp. In one of the first drills, he was very confident, very comfortable. And then he was also in a happy mood where he was happy to go and sign autographs for fans. Because this was, by the way, I think an open training session. Scott McTominay was described in this as well. Apparently scored a bunch of goals during the training drill. And the goalkeepers were working on, listen to this. And I'm not surprised, by the way. The goalkeepers were working individually with the goalkeeping coach with a clear focus on controlling the ball on their feet. So they spent a lot of the training session working with the ball at their feet and trying to understand exactly what they're going to do with the ball when it comes to their feet. And I hear that. We're not playing possession-based style of play. I don't know if we're I don't know what United are going to play, guys, until the season starts. I think from what I've seen, just making assumptions and that kind of stuff, I think Manchester United will look to play possession-based, but not like a slow possession, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I don't think that they're going to aim to play slow possession, where I think they're going to aim to keep the ball in the opponent's half predominantly when they have possession, which is why Manchester United are probably planning to play a bit more advanced with a higher line, have the keeper a lot more advanced, etc. Mins the go. Next time we need you on that tour, man. God willing, I've never actually been to America, guys. I don't know what it is. I've never been to America. I don't know if I would ever go personally, but maybe in a couple of years. Mina, will you ever go on the US tour with United View? Maybe not. I don't know. My goal is to go on a tour with the women's team. Like, I would love to, but the thing is, the Manchester United women's team are not as, I'll say, advanced as the men's team when it comes to getting a lot of content creators and channels and media, etc. So, for example, when they do pre-season, the women's team actually don't allow media to come. They do pre-season behind closed doors. So it's very unfortunate. Would you consider this game against Arsenal a test, or does it mean nothing since it's pre-season? I wouldn't say that it means nothing. For me, how do you not measure analyzing pre-season? Because when I look at pre-season, I think of multiple stuff. I think of, number one, fitness. I want to see how players look. Are players looking sharp? Are they looking match ready? Because pre-season isn't really that far away from when the season actually starts. So I think match fitness is the most important, especially I think preseason is more for an opportunity, I think, for players who have had bad seasons last year or young academy players to show their moment, basically, to take their moment and to impress. That's what preseason is for me. Preseason is also an opportunity to see patterns of play and styles of play. So, for example, last summer, Manchester United spent a lot of the time in preseason playing Jadon Sancho as a false nine. So I really thought Jadon Sancho was going to play, or Man United were going to play with a false nine throughout most of the season. But then it never happened. It never happened from match day 1 of the Premier League. So I think preseason is a good opportunity to kind of gauge those stuff. What does Sir David Bradford call it? He calls it marginal gains. Marginal gains. That's what I see it as. I wouldn't say it means nothing, but it means something. But it's not as important. As us going to the Emirates in October or whenever it is that Manchester United go to the Emirates. That, to me, that is more important 100%. And also it's Arsenal in it. You don't want to get slapped in preseason, but also, guys, it's preseason. It's not necessarily a bad preseason doesn't always equal to a bad season, if you know what I mean. Under Louis van Gaal, United tended to have good preseasons. They tended to have good preseasons. Mina, did you see Saeed's video when he got stopped by the feds at the airport? Also, his American accent is so funny. I saw bits of it. I watched bits of it. I did say to Saeed actually that he should have uploaded that video when he came back to the UK. I said you shouldn't have put yourself in danger by uploading it whilst you're in America. But can I just say, yeah, when you've got certain names on your passport, guys, if you travel to certain places in the world, or even if you're from the UK and you're coming back home, you will get stopped. If you've got certain names on your passport, you will get stopped. It is inevitable, unfortunately. But that is all on pre-season talk. We spent a bit of time talking about pre-season talk. Let's talk transfers. And I'm going to start with this guy here, Mr. Jacob. Can't you see? Harry Maguire speaking to media whilst out on pre-season. He said, listen, until I get told you're up for sale and we want you to leave, I will want to play for this club and make it successful again. All the things I'm hearing and seeing from everyone involved is I'll be part of the club for the future. Now, one thing I've realized about Manchester United is I think it's very clear. That if they want to sell a player, Manchester United, if they want to sell a player, you will know. Why? Because you will be on the market. Manchester United players, I think right now, the ones who are going to be sold, I think they know that they're going to be sold. I personally think, like I said time and time again, I think Harry Maguire should stay for another season, trigger his 1-year extension and sell him next summer, because his price started to increase, and then he had a dip in form because he was out injured for so long, and then he didn't go to the Euros, which is what I think a lot of fans were kind of hoping would be the thing that kind of increases his value. Give him another season, especially if it's unlikely that Manchester United are not going to sign any more centre-backs. Right now, Manchester United have Martinez, Lenny Yoro, Maguire, Lindelof, Johnny Evans. Yeah? Then you got Luke Shaw if he can play centre-back. If he's fit. Forget if he can play centre-back. If he's fit. You've got Luke Shaw as a maybe option. And that Luke Shaw option fully depends on A, if he's fit, and B, if Man United sign a fullback. Because if Man United do not sign a fullback, in particular a left back, Luke Shaw will be the starting left back, which means he will not be able to play centre back. He will not be available to play centre back because who's going to play left back? Tyrell Malacia is not coming back anytime soon. So the notion of Harry Maguire staying for me is not something it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched. He went on to say, I'm a player with only 1 year left on my contract with an option. But if Manchester United come to me and say they don't want me anymore, of course, I'll look for options elsewhere. But that's never been told to me. So maybe, listen, I don't know if it's 100% factual that Manchester United have not told him that they're selling him. I don't think Man United are fully sold on the idea of getting rid of him. Because like I said, if they were really going to sell him, they would have done what they've done to other players and say, you know what, we're putting you up on the market. They said that they're willing to listen to transfer offers for him. They're willing. It doesn't mean that they want to sell him, but they're open to that idea. Whereas people like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, is very clear that he has to be sold, because in order for Man United to bring in another fullback, they have to sell a fullback. So it's kind of clear with Aaron Wan-Bissaka where his future lies. We should sign either Branthwaite or De Ligt. Well, we went through this, by the way, the other day on the stream when we were talking about Branthwaite. Branthwaite is on 30k a week at Everton. He has refused to sign a new contract with Everton unless they match the 160k a week that Manchester United were offering him. I wouldn't be surprised, guys. I'm not kidding. I would not be surprised if Jared Branthwaite hands in a transfer request. I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Didn't Anthony Gordon do that to get his move to Newcastle? And now he's trying to get a move to Liverpool? I wouldn't be surprised. And also because of the financial implications for Everton. Like, I don't know why players don't hand in transfer requests nowadays. Like, back in the day, I feel like players used to do it all the time. Nowadays, people don't really be doing that. And it used to be breaking news on Sky. This person hands in transfer request. Now, I personally don't think United should buy... I don't think that Manchester United should buy Jared Branthwaite for the price that's set at him. 70 million is not a price that Manchester United should be spending on Jared Branthwaite, in my opinion. If anything, they should go back and say, you know what? We offered you 50 million, but 45 is more reasonable. Like, I'm more hopeful, can I say? I'm more hopeful that a deal gets struck for Matthias de Ligt than Jared Branthwaite. And the reason why I'm more hopeful is because A, Man United are in talks with both De Ligt and Mazraoui's agent. They could do a double deal, which would actually help Bayern Munich. You know, if Manchester United do a double swoop for two of Bayern Munich's players, that will help them because they also are in the process of trying to bring in extra pieces into their team. They're trying to bring in Desire Doué. They're trying to bring in Jonathan Tah. If Man United take two of the 6 players that Bayern Munich put on the transfer list, you're doing Bayern Munich a favour. And they actually might turn around and say, you know what? We wanted 50 million for De Ligt. But if you take Mazraoui off our books, we'll do both for 60. And that's reasonable. Why? Because they agreed a deal with West Ham for Nazir Mazraoui for, 15 million plus 4.5? 19.5 million total. And they want 50 million for De Ligt. If they decrease the price of De Ligt a little bit and Man United pay the 15 million for Mazraoui, that's job done. Of course, it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as ABC. Transfers are a lot more complicated than that. But for me, I'm more the idea of Harry Maguire staying is not that bad. And I know some of you lot might not agree with it. I know some of you lot in the chat will definitely not agree with me right now. I know you lot are probably saying, how dare you, Minot? Like, how dare you say Harry Maguire should stay? I'm not saying Harry Maguire should stay forever, guys. I'm not saying he should stay forever. However, if Manchester United are only able to we need to be reasonable and realistic. If Manchester United are only able to bring in one centre-back right now, and that's Matthias de Ligt, we cannot go into the season with just De Ligt, Yoro, Martinez, and Johnny Evans, guys. That's too unrealistic. It's too unrealistic. And you look at Lindelof and you look at Maguire, who's more likely for Manchester United to keep? I know who that is. I absolutely know who that is. Now, there was an interesting transfer news, by the way. There was some interesting news yesterday about Benfica's centre-back Antonio Silva reportedly mentioned, and this is coming out from Portugal, guys, one of Portugal's news agencies. Manchester United are considering a move for Benfica centre-back Antonio Silva. He has a release clause of 84 million, but United are convinced they can negotiate a much cheaper deal with Benfica. Now, I remember reading a piece, it must have been about a month ago, that said that Antonio Silva was actually Manchester United's first choice centre-back when it came to scouting for centre-backs and bringing in a replacement this summer. But the one thing that they were put off by was Benfica's price tag that they put on his release clause there, 100 million euros or whatever it is. Now, Man United have probably looked at João Neves, who's on his way to PSG possibly for 70 million euros, who reportedly had a release clause of 120 million euros. They're probably looking at that and thinking, okay, if PSG can negotiate a deal for João Neves, then we could negotiate a deal for the dream centre-back we wanted, because the only thing that put United off was the price tag. On paper, he was everything that they wanted, everything that they scouted for. I think the list said that it was Antonio Silva was top, and then after that it was Branthwaite, Todibo, Lenny Yoro, and then Ligt. That was the order of the centre backs. I can't remember what journalist said this, but I'm sure if I go and find that article, I'll be able to find it. Now, I don't know how realistic it is for Manchester United to spend £84 million on a centre back, or anywhere near that. If his release clause is 84 million, I'm sure Benfica is willing to negotiate 65, 70, which even that is a lot. Because if you're not going to pay 70 million for Jared Branthwaite, which is the guy that you so desperately want, why are you going to go to the Portuguese league and pay that much or more for another centre back? It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, Benfica got a history of, obviously, like the Portuguese teams, they buy to sell. They buy, they develop the player, and then they sell them for big prices. Enzo Fernandez, João Neves, now if they sell him, other teams in the Portuguese league, Sporting, if you lot know, that's where we got Bruno from. Who else came from I want to say Darwin Núñez, obviously came from the Portuguese league. That's what the Portuguese league do. They bring players in 1-2 seasons, they pop off, then they sell them. That's usually how it works. And that's probably what they're trying to do with Antonio Silva as well. Victor Lindelof as well, another player. We brought him for, I think it was like 30 million. It wasn't that much. Nowadays, teams are spending way more money when they go to the Portuguese league. But let's get into the nitty gritty, I would say, of the stream. If you've just come through, guys, be sure to hit the like button. What are we on? Let's try get 100. Let's try get to 100 likes if we can, whilst we're live on stream for the next 30 or so minutes. So if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you want to join the Minions gang, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can by simply hitting like, simply hitting subscribe, sending in a super chat with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, if you're just appreciating the content. Now, obviously, the nitty-gritty details over the last couple of days surrounds Nazir Mazraoui, the fullback that Manchester United have been linked to. Now, I'm not going to lie, I thought that West Ham got the deal done with the club. That's what it seemed, but that seemed to be far from the case, guys. That seemed to be very far from the reality. Now, if you remember on Thursday when we did a stream, the stream was about West Ham. The stream was about West Ham agreeing terms with Bayern Munich for Nazir Mazraoui. I think it was a total of 19.5 million euros, which is about 50 million pounds. Yesterday, the news comes out. Well, actually, that's not the case. They didn't agree terms, and he doesn't even want to go to West Ham. So that's another player, by the way, that does not want to go to West Ham. You lot are probably thinking, who's the other player? Wan-Bissaka doesn't want to go to West Ham. Nazir Mazraoui doesn't want to go to West Ham either. Now, reported by another Moroccan, a big Moroccan journalist, by the way, can I just say, reported yesterday that Nazir Mazraoui is attracting interest from several clubs, but the player has given his priority to Manchester United and wants to play under Erik ten Hag. United will enter official negotiations to sign him in the coming days. Other clubs interested include Juventus. Juventus are keen on getting a move done for him. Now, with Manchester United, we already know what the situation is. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or any other fullback, to be honest, even if it's Malacia, but I don't think that would be the case. So it have to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Aaron Wan-Bissaka will have to be sold. Manchester United are willing to listen to offers up to 10 to 15 million pounds. Whoever gets Wan-Bissaka for 10 to 15 million pounds is a bargain. Can I just say that? That is a bargain. I think, obviously, the biggest factor is that he's on his last year of his contract, which kind of drives down that price a little bit. You look at Nazir Mazraoui, who could go for the same price as Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but he's actually got 2 years left on his contract. But obviously, the club are keen to get rid of him. The manager doesn't want to keep him either. Now, one funny thing, like I said, is that the Ligt and Mazraoui share the same agent. Rafaela Pimenta, the agent of both Matthijs de Ligt and Nazir Mazraoui, is currently in direct talks with Manchester United about both players. Both players are concrete transfer targets for Manchester United, and both of them are keen to join the club this window. Talks are ongoing, and Bayern Munich, of course, need sales. Now, there's no surprise that they're both keen to join. You know why, guys? You know what I've realized? Obviously, because they want to be reunited with Erik ten Hag. When they were with Erik ten Hag, they were key parts of his team. So they probably think, if Erik ten Hag, if we're reunited with our daddy, Like, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but if we are reunited with Erik ten Hag, we will be starters again in the team. De Ligt is someone that's been in and out of the lineup. Mazraoui has been someone that's been in and out of the lineup. He's been dumped from right backs from for people like Kimmich, etc. They probably feel most confident that if they are reunited with Erik ten Hag, that they will be starters again in their career. We should be called Ajax United. It's actually quite funny. Like, I personally, I don't dwell on it too much, right? I don't dwell on it too much. But the fact that Manchester United could possibly, since Erik ten Hag has joined, Manchester United will possibly have, if we get Mazraoui and we get De Ligt, or even if we just get one of them, Manchester United would have signed a player every summer transfer window that has played for Ajax. Can you guys believe that? Can you guys believe that Manchester United will have signed a player that had played for Erik ten Hag at Ajax in every summer window since Erik ten Hag joined? And like I said, guys, I don't dwell on it too much because sometimes I try not to overthink or overreact about that. I feel like sometimes we place too much emphasis on it, but really deep it. Since Erik ten Hag has joined, Man United signed Anthony, they signed Martinez, they signed Anana. Now they have Mazraoui. They could sign Mazraoui, they could sign De Ligt. Now, somebody actually tweeted me saying, hot take. Let me find the hot take. Someone actually tweeted me saying, Mina, hot take. Where is it? Here it is. Brandon, shout out to Brandon, said, hot take. Had Donny stayed at Ajax, he most likely would have been Ten Hag's first signing at Man United. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Let me bring up the point again. Had Donny van de Beek stayed at Ajax, he would have probably been an Erik ten Hag signing at Manchester United. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with that? Because I kind of hear it. You'd probably think if he had stayed, and by the way, had he stayed at Ajax, because I don't think a lot of players from that time stayed at Ajax for a long time after Erik ten Hag. And what I mean by that is that 2019 squad, that Champions League squad, I think a lot of them went on to move on after a year or two, or within that summer or a year or two, they all moved on. So had Donny van de Beek still been at Ajax even till right now, I don't even think, would he have been their best player there, given the fact how bad they were this season? I don't know. Obviously, this is just speculation. This is assumptions. Obviously, you guys are agreeing with me in the chat as well on that. But which one gets done first? Which deal gets done first? De Ligt or Nazir Mazraoui? I think Nazir Mazraoui gets done first, because I think it's more likely for Manchester United to agree on a fee for him than it would be for them to agree on a fee for De Ligt. I don't think personal terms is an issue for either of them, and I think probably they've both given their word to Erik ten Hag. The fact that for me is a big thing. Ugarte. I ain't heard any news about Ugarte in the last week, I would say. Has midfield talk has actually quietened down over the last week, I would say. A lot of the conversations has been about predominantly fullbacks and defenders. We haven't really heard much talk. Donny chose us over Real Madrid and Dortmund, so he probably wouldn't be at Ajax if we didn't ruin him. That's true. That is true. That's true. Another player that is using this season, I guess, as redemption is Jadon Sancho. Chris Wheeler from Daily Mail reported yesterday again that the feeling is that Manchester United will sell Jadon Sancho this summer if they get a close offer to 40 million. Now, they want 40 million, but if they can get anything close to it, maybe 35 plus add-ons or 30 something plus add-ons, they will look at the option of selling him. Now, he's gone on to say, and this is what intrigues me the most, he said, with Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad and Anthony competing for the wide positions, Manchester United feel like Jadon Sancho is one of the players they could sacrifice to strengthen in other areas. That's a big statement. They're basically saying that they can take the L on Jadon Sancho because they feel like with the competition that he has on the wide side, I'm sorry, no disrespect, but I think Sancho is a good player, guys. But we can kind of weigh out the pros and the cons and all of that kind of stuff. Jadon Sancho's career has gone downhill since he's joined Manchester United. Let's be honest. Since he joined Manchester United, he went on to be in and out of the lineup in his first year because Man United ended up signing Ronaldo, which kind of shifted the way that Manchester United were planning to play. He went on to play for England in the Euros, obviously missed that penalty. And since then, it's been downhill. It's been downhill. You look at Marcus Rashford on the flip side, missed the penalty, and then used that as a kind of redemption arc for Manchester United the following season. Obviously, last season wasn't a good season for Marcus Rashford, but Jadon Sancho has not really had that light up season for Manchester United. But for me, it's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous that you could say with Antony competing for the right-hand side, Man United are willing to sacrifice Jadon Sancho to be it. It may be because, by the way, guys, can I say, maybe Manchester United feel they could get more money for Jadon Sancho than they can for Antony, right? So maybe that's what they're looking. They're probably thinking we're more likely to get close to 40 million for Jadon Sancho. I don't know how likely that is. And PSG are still sniffing about. But they probably think we're more likely to get 40 million for Jadon Sancho than we are to get 25 million for Antony. And 40 million trumps 25 million. Now, talent for talent-wise, and the best fits for the team, if Man United are moving towards a possession-style team, or they're moving towards a team that has technically gifted players, Jadon Sancho should absolutely be on that list of players. He should absolutely be on that list of players. Because you know what Jadon Sancho is like he's like a free wings and chips. Yeah? You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. It's not like you go and Antony is like how can I describe Antony as food? Antony is like, you know, when you go to a restaurant and you want to try something new, but you also want to like stick to what you know. So you try something new and it sucks. It's disgusting. Have any of you ever done that where you go to the restaurant? Oh my God, it's happened to me, guys. I went to a restaurant once, and this is actually the best way to describe Antony, right? I went to a restaurant, I tried something new, and it was expensive. So I thought, you know what? This is going to be good because it's expensive. And it was ass. It was disgusting. That is the best way to describe, if we're describing players as food, that's how I can describe Antony. And I think Antony could work in a team in the Netherlands or maybe in the Italian league. Honestly, I think he could play in the Serie A. I think he could play in the Serie A. But that is, for me, it's actually quite wild that Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for Jadon Sancho because they feel like with the competition of other players in the wide roles, that he's, you know, more likely to bring in money. Now, of course, like I said, one team that is very much interested in Jadon Sancho is Paris. PSG, of course, are interested in him. Reported by Sky Sports. Let me find it. Reported by Sky Sports yesterday as well. PSG remain interested in Jadon Sancho, although there is no formal offer for the player yet. Juve and Dortmund are also keen on deals, and they continue to monitor the situation. Manchester United, if they truly want to sell Jadon Sancho, and this is not me, by the way, saying that they should sell him, but if Man United really want to sell him, they really need to start talking with these teams and really start negotiating, because there's no point in having him spend his entire preseason at Manchester United when you know that you're planning to sell him. Like I don't see the point. I genuinely do not see the point of doing that. PSG will continue, I think, to monitor the situation. Like I said, unless they lose out on Desire Doué completely, and that could happen because Bayern Munich want to pay 70 million for him, bro. I think 65 million they're paying for him. They want to pay for him. They're happy to pay for him. So if that's the case, then PSG might come and look at Jadon Sancho. But Manchester United cannot spend a preseason having him at the team when it's better to just negotiate. And by the way, this is not me saying Man United should sell Jadon Sancho. I do not think. If Man United are going to sell Jadon Sancho, sell him because you don't want him in the team. Don't say because players like Antony are competing for the wider sides, because Antony should not be playing. Antony should not be playing. Maybe I wouldn't mind Antony at Manchester United if he had a role player role where he's not a starter, he's not a regular sub, but he's someone there, maybe third choice if Manchester United are running thin in the back line, in the wing, sorry. If Manchester United are fully running thin in the wings, he's the final option. For me, Jadon Sancho can be a starter and could also be a sub player. He could be a player that you bring on in a game to impact the game, to switch up the game. I think Anthony ain't that. I mean, I saw Amad Diallo, right? And this is what kind of made me laugh. I saw Amad Diallo score that goal against Rangers. Wallahi, yeah. How many times does it take Anthony to get a shot on target like that? Just think about that. Who say they are not doing stuff behind the scenes to get the deal done? That's true. That's true. But another thing that makes me kind of like not concerned is just the fact that everyone who's involved in doing talks for Manchester United are in America right now. They're on the preseason tour. They're all on the preseason tour. Umar Brada, Sir Dave Brailsford, Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, etc. Time difference. I don't know where PSG doing or Juve. Where they're all doing their preseason. I think in Europe. I think they're all doing their preseason in Europe. I definitely might be wrong in that case. Last but not least, Scotty T. There was some talk about him, by the way, in yesterday's preseason open training session for Manchester United. There was some talk about the fact that he scored the most goals. He looked the most sharp. He looked like the best player in training. And maybe that answers everybody's question as to how Scott McTominay always gets into Erik ten Hag's lineups or is always coming off the bench as an option for Erik ten Hag. It's probably because he probably works the hardest in training, and as a result, he looks like one of the best players in training. Like everyone always talks about, how does Scott McTominay do this? How does he do this? How does he do that? Now, reported by Sky Sports yesterday as well, Fulham are working on a deal to sign Scott McTominay, and every expectation is that they will return to the table with an improved offer. A gap in valuation still exists between what Manchester United want and what Fulham are prepared to pay. Now, on some information on Fulham are also trying to sell Andres Pereira. They're trying to sell Andres Pereira. Chelsea are interested in him as well. I think Chelsea want to buy him. Obviously, they've just got some money as well for selling Paulinho. They brought him for 20 million and flipped him for 60. That they've got money. They've got money. Now, Manchester United's valuation apparently for Scott McTominay is 30 million. That's apparently how much they want. Fulham's original deal that they came in for, I think, was like 17 million, and it was just rejected from the jump. Manchester United said, nah, this is nowhere near what we value him at. And rightfully so. Rightfully so, because I think Scott McTominay is worth 30 million. Pay up or spray up. Keep it moving. Honestly, you lot probably think, wow, first you say Man United should keep Harry Maguire, now you're saying Scott McTominay is worth 30 million. In a transfer market that is absolutely fluctuated with transfer value for players, I do not think it's a blasphemous statement to say that Scott McTominay is worth 30 million. I don't think that's a wild thing. TI10 agrees as well, says 30 million for Scott. I think that's reasonable. I would even say a bit more. I would say a bit more homegrown talent. And even though fans might feel like Scott McTominay is not a midfielder on a technical level, he's not a good midfielder. He's not good on the ball. He has other traits that are beneficial to a team. He's got other traits, and you guys might not feel agree with that. But that's also a reason why Erik ten Hag was utilizing him in the way that he was last season, as this box crashing midfielder, getting into the box as a second striker kind of thing. He might not be on paper what you want in a midfielder, but you can use him in other ways. And that's what I think we need to understand. Just because it's basically you're not getting what's on the package. On the package, it's saying midfield. It's saying midfielder. So you're expecting someone good on the ball, someone that can read the game well, someone technically sound with the ball at their feet. You're not getting that, but you're getting other things. And this also goes back to kind of suggest that he wasn't a midfielder growing up in the academy. I remember someone saying that he used to be a striker. He said it as well. He used to play up front for Manchester United as an academy. In the academy, sorry, he used to play up front, and then they put him in midfield because of his height, etc., etc. It's like Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro was a striker in Lille's academy as a kid, and then the taller he got, and the fact that he could read the game so well, Lille turned him into a defender and said, you're better off playing in defense. And I know that that's happened to a lot of players. So on paper, like I said, Scott McTominay might not be the best midfielder in the world, but he has a lot more other sellable assets. Exactly, Scott has a lot to offer the other teams. I agree. I would say that he doesn't, with Manchester United, Man United don't need this kind of player. I'm not going to lie. If Man United have a midfielder, I want a midfielder that's good on the ball, that can read the game, that can track back, can defend, that can whip a ball in, switch the pass, etc., etc. That's what I want. What's on the package. I don't want a Scott McTominay, but let's not kid ourselves and say Scott McTominay doesn't have any use whatsoever. It's like when Harry Maguire was the most hated Manchester United player, and people were saying Harry Maguire had no use, but I knew that was not the case. I knew Harry Maguire had use. Maybe it was not for what Manchester United wanted, but you could definitely sell him to another team. Ross says Minot, he might be worth 30 million, not with 1 year left on his contract though. I mean, listen, if Man United brought Mason Mount for 60 million, yeah, when he had 1 year left on his contract, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying anything is possible. Kadeem says, I really want us to keep Braithwaite, but with the collapse from our takeover, we might need to sell. By the way, Kadeem is an Everton fan, if you lot don't know. TI10 says he scored 10 goals as a midfielder for us last season. Exactly. He scored 10 goals as a midfielder in some big games. He individually won us or equalized, got us points by himself in a new role that Erik ten Hag found for him. And can I just say, every manager that has come into Manchester United since Scott McTominay made his debut, they find a role for Scott McTominay. And like I said, maybe it's because he worked so hard in training, like the report suggested today or yesterday. Well, technically it's today, but time difference. Like the report suggested from Manchester United's open training session in LA, that he was the best player in training. Maybe because he's the best player in training and because he works so hard, and maybe other players are not given 100% all the time. That's why Manchester United managers are always are always able to find roles for him in the team. Oh my God. I accidentally pressed the video by accident. I'm sorry about that. But let me know, quickly before we wrap this up, guys, let me know, what is the price tag you would accept from Fulham for Scott McTominay? Because I've already made my stance clear. I've already said 30 million or nothing. And they've bidded 17 million, which means they're in and around, able of paying maybe 30. I'm not going to lie. They got money for Paulinho. So Manchester United need to capitalize on that. We know you got money. We know you lot got money. Don't tell us you ain't got money. Everett says that he always found Man United training harder than the matches. So well done, Scott. Big up to Scott. 25 says Adam. Kadeen says I'll accept 10 because I just need him gone. Troy says no less than 35. Najib agrees and says 35. Mitesh says 25 and above plus add-ons for Ballon d'Or. Thriller says 30 million plus. Ross says if you say it that way, sure, we could get 30 million for him if the Merto Arnold were handling the purchase. If we get anything close to 25 million, I'd sell. If Merto and Arnold were handling Manchester United's transfer window this year, Scott McTominay would have been gone for 5 million. I'm not joking. Scott McTominay, he would have been gone for 5 million. Merto and Arnold are examples of people that could not sell at Manchester United for the number of years that they were in their roles. The best sell that they probably did was Dan James at the best. After that, everyone left on a free, and all the academy players went for less than $1 million. In the same time, by the way, Trafford went for 20 million from Manchester City, and Man United sold like 4 academy players last summer for a combined fee of like 2 million. Merto and Arnold ain't doing shit. Excuse my language. Buggy says if we can get 30, then great, but I'd rather accept 20 than keep him another year. Fair enough. So if United can get 20 for him, you'd take it. 30 reality. I hear it. Listen, let's talk about some few players, obviously, who are on preseason right now, and we're going to talk about what expectations. Let's talk about the expectations. Let's start with this guy right here, Amadou Onana. Amadou Onana, for me, this has to be his year. Not Amadou. Did I just call him Amadou? Andre Onana. Sorry, guys. I have Amadou Onana here on my screen because I was going to talk about how Man United tried to hijack his move. I'm such an idiot, guys. Excuse my language. Andre Onana. Andre. It's so funny because Amadou Onana got onto a journalist at the Euros for calling him Andre Onana. And now I've just called this guy Amadou Onana. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Fake fan alert. Fake fan alert. Listen, Andre Onana for me has to be probably, I need the biggest jump for him this season. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Out of all the players that Man United brought last summer, Mason Mount, Højlund, Onana, I need the jump for Onana to be like this season. He had good moments last season. He had good moments. and he had really low moments. But I need him to be one of the best players in the team this season. And maybe that's me setting my standards very, very high. Maybe that's me being unrealistic. But for me, he's shown what he can do. When he's good, he's good. Before United brought him, he was a great player. At Manchester United, we've seen those glimpses over his first season. But with this new goalkeeper coach, I'm hoping it's a sign that Manchester United are fully invested in bringing out the strengths of the players. Why? Because Onana was praised for the way that he plays with the ball at his feet. I've seen his warm-up drills, guys, before games, where he spends about 80% of it passing, and then like 20% saving shots. This goalkeeper coach that Manchester United have brought in is a specialist at playing out the back and having building players and goalkeepers in particularly that can play out from the back. We know Onana can do that already. We know that Lisandro Martinez, he looks like he's in great shape. Had a whole Copa America with Argentina and won it as well. He's in good shape. You know, Diogo Dalot, good on the ball. Luke Shaw, if he's available, good on the ball. Kobe Mainoo, good on the ball. If that back line is really kind of cemented in playing out from the back, there's no reason for me why Onana should not be one of the best players for Manchester United. And maybe that's me am I putting my expectations too high? I need UCL into Onana for the rest of his time here. Facts. I feel like we've put a lot into bringing him in. The fan base was very divided, like I said, on him and David De Gea, etc., etc. One player for me that this is a big season for him. This is actually a big season for both of them for different reasons. I think it's a big season for both of them for different reasons. Mason Mount has a lot of, I would say, I don't want to say pressure on his shoulders, but given how he was last season, the fact that he was unavailable half the time, injured half the time, not even half, more than half the time, and didn't play that much, for the fee that Man United spent on him, and for how much Erik ten Hag talks about him in the press conference, like how he really talks him up, yeah? For me, Mason Mount, this season, is do or die. If he does not have if he doesn't stay fit, and he doesn't play well, I think Man United will have to sell him next summer. Whereas Amad Diallo, it's a big season for him, but for a different reason. Because this is finally his season where he gets his chance. I think this should be the chance that he gets. Mount needs to step aside for Collier, get on the bench with Garnacho. Why is Garnacho catching a stray for no reason? Why is Garnacho catching a stray for no reason? I think Amad Diallo, for me, this season is a big season for him because it's finally a chance for him to have a shot at the right-hand side. And not just that, but even I think if Bruno Fernandes is maybe, there's games where United might not play Bruno. For example, third round of the Carabao Cup, early stages of FA Cup, etc. Amad can play in the 10. He can play in the 10. Of course, he's in talks with Manchester United about a new contract as well, which is a clear indication that he's going to stay. So it's a clear indication that he's going to stay. It's clear that Manchester United have a plan for him and he's part of the future. For me, out of all the players that are available to play on the right-hand side, I would say Amad's the best. Amad's the best, especially on a technical level. On a technical level, technical ability, period. Just on the technical ability, he's the best. Him and Sancho. Then you talk about what they offer. I think Amad Diallo's he's two-footed, but obviously his left foot is his strongest suit. He can do a similar thing to Anthony where he cuts in with left foot and puts a ball in. But the thing, puts a shot in. But the thing is, how he does it compared to Anthony is completely different. Because more time, I think 3 times out of 10, Anthony's hitting the target. I'll say 8 times out of 10, Amad Diallo's hitting the target. He's so good at using the body of the opponent as a shield to kind of block the keeper, where the keeper can't see anything. He does it so well. And not just that, because he can dribble with the ball at his feet so closely, he can drag multiple players out with him, where he can also decide where to find the pass in for a player or try and take the shot. But these two, for me, both of them, it's a big season. It's a big season, I think, for both of them. It's just a matter of different situations. One of them, I think, it's a big season, or he gets sold next summer because he's not really offered Man United much. And the other one, for me, finally, Amad Diallo gets his chance. He gets his opportunity. Now, before we wrap it up, I always like to check that there's no Manchester United news before I end the stream, because lately there seems to be news as soon as I end my stream. I don't know what it is. There seems to be news every time. Every time I end the stream, there seems to be news every single time. But listen, guys, listen. Before we end it, is anybody watching the Olympics? Is anybody watching the Olympics? Did anybody watch the Olympic opening ceremony yesterday? What did you guys think about it? Because I think Olympics has died out for the last, probably since the last Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics. It wasn't really much. I don't think there was much hype about it. Obviously, it's in Paris now. It hasn't been in Europe. The Olympics hasn't been in Europe since London 2012. Yesterday's Olympic ceremony, I don't know. That opening ceremony was funny to me because it was just so weird. There was just so much weird stuff. I'm not watching the Olympics this year for personal reasons. I'm boycotting it. But I will obviously keep an eye on certain countries, certain nations, to see how they are doing. My nation are in the Olympics. However, they've only got one athlete. I'm not placing all our hopes in one athlete to win a medal, given the fact that my country have never won an Olympic medal. But I'll keep an eye on like the basketball results. I'm not watching it personally. I'm not watching it because, like I said, I'm boycotting it. The French are a disgrace. But I'm keeping an eye on certain stuff. The sprints. I'm keeping an eye on Simone Biles. Simone Biles, by the way, I don't know. I only watch her during the Olympics. That's the only time I see her. And obviously, she's one of the most decorated athletes, American athletes of all time. And she's so young and she's a gymnast, all of that stuff. I'll be keeping an eye on Palestine. Shout out to Palestine, who were also at the opening ceremony as well. The opening ceremony was weird, bro. They had people on boats. Like, that's how they were doing the parade for each nation. So some nations were on boats with like 4 other nations, 3 other nations. Some nations had their own ship. USA had a flipping ship, as far as I was concerned. Whereas obviously the one thing I didn't like about the opening ceremony is the parade of countries, because normally all the athletes will come out with their country, whereas it looked like it was only select nations. It was only select people that came out with each nation, because the boats were not big enough for you to have everyone. I didn't watch the end. I'm not gonna lie. I stopped watching. When did I stop watching? I stopped watching T because I remember seeing Turkey come out. And then I don't remember anything after that. I think I stopped watching it at that point. So I didn't see Celine Dion's performance. I saw Aya Nakuruma's performance. I love her. I saw her performance. Obviously, I waited for S. I saw Q. I saw Qatar. I'm trying to remember. I think Turkey was the last nation that I saw. Some nations had lifeboats. Honestly, some of them were on speedboats. Yeah, I don't know, man. This the Beijing for me had the best opening ceremony as far as I can remember. London 2012 had a good opening ceremony as well. As obviously the history of the country, etc. The Industrial Revolution, etc., etc. I always think if London 2012 was hosted now instead of back then, who do you think they would bring to perform? So like the French brought Aya Nakaruma, who's a big French. She's the most listened to French artist, etc. Like, who do you think would have performed at London 2012 if it was hosted now? I'm not gonna lie. I think they would have people like Coldplay. I think they would have people like Take That. I think they'd have Adele. I think they'd have Stormzy, because Stormzy is probably the biggest UK rapper. Like, I think Stormzy is, like, in terms of globally, I think he's the biggest UK rapper. I'm trying to think of what other artists they would have. I think that's what they would have. They'd have like different types of genre. But I think if it came to UK rap, they're definitely having Stormzy. Now, if it was up to me, I think they should have So Solid Crew, because they are they are So Solid Crew and Boy Better Know and all of them kind of people are UK rap personified from the early 2000s, mid 2000s. But they wouldn't do that. I saw that they also did a thing. I also saw that they did a thing where they did. This is why I didn't like the opening ceremony too much, and maybe this is just my personal opinion, so I don't want it to heavily influence anybody. But I just thought to share this. They did a thing where they were sharing all like 10 women of French history with the statues. They were like showing it, all the different people that have maybe had something to do with politics, and maybe had something to do with sport, or maybe had something to do with like the development of the country. But guys, The French have banned their own athletes from wearing headscarves. They're one of the French sprinters in the 400-meter relay wears a headscarf, and she cannot play for them in the Olympics. I don't know what that is now. If you don't know, and I wrote an article about this last summer, by the way, that they also banned their own players and etc. from wearing headscarves if they play football. They banned it in football first last summer. It went up to court. The court approved it, and now they banned it in the Olympics. Now they can't ban other nations that are coming. So if I was representing my nation, they can't ban me in the Olympics, but they can ban their own athletes, and they've done that, which is ridiculous. But then you're doing a whole 10-minute segment of women of history that have changed the world and the country, etc., etc. That's ridiculous. You can't appreciate women one moment and then take away their value the next. It's ridiculous, and it's something that's quite close to me. So obviously, I felt relevant to mention that. I felt like I had to kind of mention that. French football tried but failed to discriminate against players fasting. Listen, I have friends. I can't talk too much, but I have friends that play for the French team, for the women's team, and I've spoken to them when they're at camp during Ramadan, etc. I can't even tell you what they tell me, but it's horrible. And that's why I say that I'm not watching the Olympics for that reason. I will never wear, I like football shirts. I'll never buy a France one. I never bought a Pogba one. I never bought a Zidane one. I will never do that. They will never get my support. Minna, what's wrong with Malaysia? I heard of a crash. Yeah, I heard about. So apparently that there was a car crash within July 16th. Apparently, Marcus Rashford, and Malacia got into a car accident in Marcus Rashford's car by a drunk driver. They were hit with a drunk driver. Malacia got injured at the scene, but he was, after taken to hospital, he was okay after that. And that's it. Literally, that's it. I don't even know why this is news, because it wasn't a big accident. Apparently it was a drunk driver that hit them. They were both okay, but just for precaution, Malacia was taken for extra checkups, etc. And he's okay. He's all good. He's all Gucci. So I don't know why it's in the news and why people are making a big deal out of it. And people are acting like Marcus Rashford was driving recklessly or Malacia was driving recklessly. Apparently, it was Marcus Rashford's car, but he was actually not in it. And guys, that's why Malacia was out for so long. No, this is just recent, apparently. This is just like 16th July, like a couple of weeks ago. I was reading it this morning about it. So apparently, it was Marcus Rashford's Range Rover, but he was not driving, but Malacia was in it, and Rashford was in a car behind. Minna was in the Olympics with that bicycle. Give it a couple of days and they'll say it was Rashford drunk driving that hit him. No, apparently it was a woman that hit them, and she was arrested at the scene of the crime. By the way, guys, yeah, again, this is just my opinion, but if you're drunk, don't drive. Don't do it. I've had relatives that have been in accidents because of drunk drivers, and it's not cool. It's not cool. So if you've drank, don't drive. I have friends who obviously are not Muslim. They drink, and I will tell them if you're going out, like say we're going to a gathering, do not drive if you're going to drink. I would much rather take you home. I'd much rather drive you home, even if it's 45 minutes out of my way, than for you to drive home drunk. It's ridiculous. Imagine, comes back from injury and gets into a car accident. Goodness, at least he's okay. Yeah, no, exactly. At least he's okay. At least it could have been much worse, guys. I know people that have had big injuries from drunk drivers. I know people who have died from a drunk driver. So they are very lucky that they walked away from the scene uninjured and not with a big accident, not with a big injury, etc., etc. They are very, very lucky. Because it could have gone sideways. It really, really could have gone sideways. The amount of tragedies due to drunk driving is crazy. It's actually I just don't get it. If you know you can't drive, then don't drive. Look at this, guys. I don't know why this makes me laugh. This is not really related to what we're talking about right now. This is not really related to what we're talking about right now, but I thought it might be helpful to share it. Yeah. Adebayo was talking about the craziest things that he's done during his career, or the biggest mistakes that he made during his career. He said, "What mistakes did I make during my career? I brought 4 cars in one day." This is what happens, guys, yeah? When you get money, and you've never had money like that before in your life. Because I also am at fault for that. Not for buying 4 cars in one day or not having that much money, but when you get access to a lot of money that you've not had before, you just move crazy. He said he bought 4 cars in one day. How did he drive them home? That's what I need to know. He then went on to say another madness that he did. Yeah. I spent £280,000 in a nightclub in one time. 200, bro. Did you buy the nightclub? Like, I really need to know, how can you spend 280k in 1 week in a nightclub? What did you buy the whole venue? Like, what are you buying? And on top of that, 4 cars in 1 week. Yeah. How did he drive them home? Did he not drive himself to the dealership, and then how's he driving his new car home? It's not making sense. Because I've been with people when they're buying cars, right? And I will drive them to the dealership, and then they'll drive their car back home. So is that what he was doing every time? How? Nah, it's funny. He's saying these are mistakes, by the way. He's saying mistakes. He's saying these are the biggest mistakes that he's made during his career. But also, I think that's why they say sports athletes tend to go bankrupt very, very quickly after they retire. Like, it's quite common for footballers to go bankrupt, especially, can I say, and I don't want to make it about ethnicity or something, but especially African players, because I remember, again, Papi Cisse was telling me this. Maybe I should do a whole stream about things that footballers have told me when I've interviewed them, because Papi Cisse told me that because he funded the lives of a lot of people, he felt pressured to go and play in China to make more money. And a lot of African players think like that. They think that in order to they have to make a lot of money from playing football because they are funding everyone. Like, some of them are funding, it's not just their parents and their siblings, but it's extended family. Sometimes it's not even extended family. It's people in your neighborhood, in your village where you grew up. Sadio Mane, for example, has built so much stuff in his home country and funds them every month. He gives the village that Sadio Mane grew up in, he gives money to them every month. So every family gets a set money for their family and for their kids, etc. And then you got people like Adebayo saying that the biggest mistake I did was spend 280k in a week in a club and then buy 4 cars in 1 week. When you make a lot of money, you spend a lot of money. That's not always the case, though. That's not always the case, because I watch a lot of like videos on TikTok, right? When you see them random strangers that go up to people to interview them in the street, and they tend to like interview like businessmen or those kind of stuff. Them man keep their money. Certain ethnicities can keep their money. Is maybe this is where we start to talk about ethnicity, race, and generational wealth and etc. Because I think it's more so when you've not had that kind of money, you kind of just enjoy it. You're there for a short time, not a long time. Whereas when you've come from generational wealth, your prime goal is to continue that wealth generations in for your kids, kids, your kids, etc., etc. Whereas, like, I never grew up from a wealthy family background, and my goal is to make generational wealth for my kids and then my grandkids, etc., etc., so that by the time it gets to the 4th generation of minions, like, they're going to be talking about their great grandma that helped to create generational wealth. We're speaking about footballers, but even with footballers, again, it's not just footballers that have this problem. NBA players have this problem. Like, I've seen NBA players going bankrupt 2 years after retiring. I've seen footballers going bankrupt 3-4 years after retiring. It's poor financial education. I think you say it here. They receive a ton of money with no financial education. Exactly. Which is why it's always important. And by the way, then you have people around you that are maybe around you just for the money. Like, they're around you just for the money. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. If I had a friend who's a footballer or just an athlete in general, like, people tend to not be financially savvy and have good financial education because their whole life has been focused on football. Making it in football has been their priority. So they've maybe not had the opportunity of having financial education, etc. But that's why you surround yourself with people that do that have that knowledge. Like, for example, someone who's got a financial accounting background or someone that's got an investment background. They will teach you how to best keep your money, how to invest your money to, again, create generational wealth. I know we went kind of sidetracked, guys. I know we kind of went a bit sidetracked. My bad. We have a tendency of doing that. I know we got a tendency of doing that. But listen, big up to everyone locked in, guys. Have we hit 100 likes? Yes, we have. We even surpassed it. We got to 144 likes. Let's try to get to 150 likes. Hopefully before the end of the stream. Not really into finance, but is investing in stocks the best option? The thing is, yeah, stocks and just that kind of trading and all of that kind of stuff. For me, I have a different opinion on it because of I have a background in Islamic finance. So I have a different opinion based on faith. But everybody's different. I know people, I have friends who buy properties. I have friends who buy properties, flip it. Like I have friends that literally buy properties in the UK, they rent it out as Airbnbs or they rent it out to students, etc., etc., etc. And that's how they make money. That's how they make money. All of it is different. I think stocks is the best option if you don't want to invest a big amount up front. Because if you're trying to get into real estate, for example, you have to have money for a deposit. A deposit can be anything between 10k to 50k, 60k, depending on how much your property is. So you have to have a big chunk of money available. Then you have to have money up front for refurbishing the place, furnishing the place, putting down sofas, etc., all of that stuff. Whereas with stocks, you just need to have your set money that you're ready to invest, and that's it. But guys, we're getting a bit sidetracked. You know what? We will talk about this stuff on the member only live stream. We're having a member only live stream tomorrow, as I mentioned. It was meant to be yesterday, but I had to postpone it because of my internet outage. If you want to join the members gang, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel, and you get to join the member only live stream tomorrow, where we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. We will be live. Should I do a watch along today? Nah, I'm not gonna. I don't know if I should do it because Owen's gonna do a watch along. So let me not do a watch along. I'll probably do a video tomorrow after the preseason game, reviewing that. We're gonna talk obviously all news. If there is any news between now and tomorrow, I will be live. If there's any breaking news, guys, I will be live and we will be here to talk about it. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Let's get to 150 likes. As always, it's your girl Minna. Big up to everyone locked in. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow, inshallah. God willing, I'm out. Peace.